This episode is brought to you by
audiobooks transcribed for those of you not on the go. Love novels but don't want the hassle of listening to people talk? Then read our printed audiobooks and get the same enjoyment millions of Audible customers the world over now enjoy. With our patented Print Now technology, you can get great fiction from beloved authors from Stephen King to Dan Brown, nonfiction from Sheryl Sandberg and Malcolm Gladwell, and classics from Jane Austen and E.L. James. Scribable. Audiobooks transcribed for you.
Houston, flight is go.
Mila, let's go. SPM. Safety contact.
From Assignment X, Amalgamated Storytelling, and thesoniashow.com, it's The Dorking Out Show with Christopher Allen Smith and Sonia Mansfield.
Welcome to episode 75 of Dorking Out, a podcast for people who like to dork out about stories and the stories in pop culture that we love. That means movies and TV, books and podcasts, and everywhere else we find stories that interest us. This is the 3 Billboards Outside Avengers Tower edition. With me today is my co-host, Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and nerd author, Christopher Allen Smith.
Hey there, how's it going, Sonia
Hello.
Mansfield? How are you
Hello.
feeling about our 75th Dorking Out, the Diamond Jubilee of Dorking Out?
I can't wait to hear what you got me. What'd you get me?
Well, can't waiting.
You're the worst podcasting husband ever.
I am quite awful. Not just podcasting, husband. Hold on, let me get Laura in here. Actually, let me not get Laura in here because that's not
because
gonna
she
end
went
good.
out tonight. She said she might be back late.
That's right. With me today is my co-host, professional writer and author of The Sonia Show, a fan fiction blog about Norval Barnes, played by Tim Robbins, and 1994's The Hudsucker Proxy. This may come up later in the show. Sonia Mansfield.
I actually would write that kind of blog.
That
You're not
actually
wrong.
sounds pretty fun.
I know. I'm into
love
it.
that movie. Mwah.
I have that movie poster here in my house.
That's
But I
right.
haven't framed it yet. It's still just sitting, all rolled up, ready to be framed.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's
Shame
so
on me.
good. Yeah. Oh, right.
Anyway, the rundown. It's
In
all
this
you.
week's episode, we talk about Francis McDormand's new movie, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and possibly the larger subject of storytellers aping the style of other successful storytellers.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that, but okay.
Well, you may see where my very short review of this movie is going to go. Then
Okay.
we bring back best friend of the show, Peter Brown,
BFF of the show.
associate editor of Assignment X, for a mini segment of Dorking Out About Trailers in light of this week's insane, crushing debut of the Avengers Infinity War trailer, which has broken every trailer record ever set. This is already the most viewed trailer in the history of trailers. I can't believe it, but it is. Anyway, we talk about the trailer, the movie
Wait,
that's coming.
more than 50 Shades Darker?
More than 50 Shades Darker, more than Star Wars, more than anything. We talk about the trailer, the movie, and whether or not silver bullets can stop Disney's march towards world domination.
The answer is no.
No, nothing. Nothing can stop it. All that. See, a lot of other shows would make you wait for the answer to that, but the answer is no, so we're just going to tell you, no, there's nothing can stop it.
And that's why our listeners drop out right after
That's
the
right.
intro. That must be it.
That's right. All that and what we're dorking out about after these fake messages.
This segment is brought to you by Tulsa Bargain Meatery. We're the most affordable meat delivery service because we spend less on expensive packaging and dry ice. Our steaks arrive every month in our new manila envelope mailing technology that allows you to feel the juices when you open your mailbox. Use the code word SCRAPPLE and your first month's delivery is free. Tulsa Bargain Meatery. It's fresh when we send it. Topic 1. Our review of 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. When the local police fail to solve the case of her daughter's rape and murder, Mildred Hayes, played by Francis McDormand, rents 3 billboards on the outside of town, hence the name, with a message directed at the police chief, William Willoughby, played by Woody Harrelson. And the signs say, "Raped while dying and still no arrests. How come Chief Willoughby?" Sam Rockwell plays one of Willoughby's fellow officers, and he's a racist hothead mama's boy who just makes things worse. The movie's written and directed by Martin McDonough. I suck at names.
I am done trying to help you pronounce names.
I'm
finished. I'm out. I'm done, Mansfield. It's over. You're on your own.
Martin, what's his face? 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is getting a lot of award show buzz. So it's nominated for like Francis McDormand and Sam Rockwell's performances from like the Los Angeles Film Critics, the Independent Spirit Awards, and the British Independent Film Awards.
Otherwise known as the American Awards. Keep going.
Smith, I'm going to let you go first. What did you think of this movie?
This is some of the best Coen Brothers fan fiction I've ever seen. That, in one line, is my review. Period.
Oh, well.
Print it. It's over.
All right. On to topic 2. No.
What did... actually, I went to see this.
I think that's a pretty good description in that it is like kind of a bunch of weird characters in a small town. It's got Francis McDormand, like, you know, it's not hard to see that connection. But continue.
Well, yeah, I went to see this with my wife, Laura, and we liked it, but we came out of it kind of like, I don't know. And then as we were talking it through, we realized there are a lot of the characters we liked. There were a lot of moments we liked, but you could really feel the creaks and the moments where different scenes and different things that the script had to do were kind of joined together. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple scenes where it's almost kind of like you could see the effect that a screenwriting book had on the screenwriter. And I feel bad saying this because I'm sure that they are obviously a very talented filmmaker, more talented than me. They got, Francis McDormand to be in their movie.
Has he won Emmys?
I don't know. But my point, I have never worked with Francis McDormand, so I think that even... I've also never worked with Sam Rockwell or Woody Harrelson. Now that I think about it, he's way ahead of the game. Point is, he doesn't need me to tell him that. Point is, there's a lot that we like, but you could almost feel certain things had to happen to keep the story going. And there were a couple scenes where... And I'm not going to really get into it. We're not going to really spoil anything.
Yeah, no, we don't want to spoil anything.
Where you could see this event has to happen by this point, but we can't think of they couldn't really think of an elegant way to make it happen. So these two very impactful, emotional things happen in a store. And literally one character is leaving the store while the other character is coming into the store. A lot of times in TVs and movies, you'll see this, like two characters are having a fight, and then the fight is over, and there's a moment where they're going to consider it, and then the telephone will ring because the next thing in the story has to happen. And it's not like they cut to 2 hours later when they're like doing the dishes and then the phone rings. No, we've had our fight. We've resolved this story point. Now we need the phone to ring for the next for the next link in the chain. But it wasn't quite as elegant as that.
Yeah. So
it was literally characters walking past each other to stand in front of Francis McDormand and get the next part of the story going. The magic and the mystique of a Coen Brothers movie is where all these weird things are side by side, and you can see the weird humor and the weird effects by having really great humor and really horrible, awful heartbreak kind of right up against each other. And here it just felt clumsy and weird, and like sometimes you would have characters.
I feel like in I feel like in Coen Brother movies, those moments tell you something about the character that you need to know.
Right.
And I don't know if the moments you're talking about necessarily give us any more insight into the characters than we already have.
Actually, that is, Sonia, thank you for saying that. That's a perfect way to say it, because
Oh,
as
thank
we're talking
you.
about this, I'm thinking about the moment, and maybe we will play a little spoiler sound and talk about this at the end of the segment. It reveals nothing. It really is the screenwriter having to get these two things done in this scene, and that's it.
I
So, anyway, what did you think?
I I like this movie a lot. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I do think the movie just goes off the rails at the end,
Ooh,
which
interesting.
but I have a lot of conflicting emotions about this movie. And I'm going to try to be fast because I don't want to take up like all of our time trying to like work out my crap about this movie. But like, I love Francis McDormand in this movie. Like, she's just so full of rage and grief, but she's still like kind of stoic about it. And, you know, she isn't a very nice person. But we understand why she's doing what she's doing. Like, she wants justice, even if like in a really unusual way. And I feel like with all the sexual harassment and abuse allegations that are coming out, like, I feel like her character feels very appropriate to like right now.
Right.
And like, you know, she's like bullying these cops to do their jobs, or like when she like kicks those smart ass teenagers in the crotch, which made me laugh really, really hard at the theater.
Okay. Okay. Which one got the biggest laugh?
The girl, definitely the girl.
I don't know why that is. And we
It's
talk
just
about
because you're like, what?
well, we're talking about sexual harassment the last couple of weeks and everything, and I felt like particularly like, oh, this is that kind of movie, huh? Wow,
Yeah.
all right.
But I understand her anger, and then there's just like this story going through the movie about like how like the men in the town, like the dentist, the priest, the cops, like even her ex-husband, like they're kind of trying to protect one of their own, like even though maybe she's right, like
Right.
they're like kind of like, look, we know you went through some crap and we're sorry about your daughter, but we need to protect our own, and like bullying her to try to take down this billboard. And I just felt like it was very appropriate to kind of what's going on right now.
Right.
And so in that way, I really like the movie. And but
keep going.
there were just some things where like they throw around the N word a bit, throw around the R word a bit.
What's
I
the
don't
R
think
word?
it neat when you talk about a disabled person.
Oh, right. Okay.
It takes me out of the movie.
Okay.
I don't think it needed it. It brings up like police brutality, but it doesn't really address it, and like almost kind of uses it as like a characteristic for Sam Rockwell's character, but they don't really address it in any thoughtful way that kind of made me like, meh, like it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But I think they could have left it out completely and just made him like an ignorant dick.
Yeah.
instead
I hear ya.
of like a cop who like tortured like one of the black men that he had in his custody. Like, but it's never, we never meet the guy. It's thrown around. It's just kind of thrown out there as this random character trait. It's just kind of weird. That's all.
Yeah. Well, see,
Like, it's not a deal breaker for me for the movie. It's just,
and that actually kind of succinctly coalesces what I'm thinking about. Is I do think if you're going to show a cop, especially in this day and age, or especially any day and age, I think that's what we've kind of learned in the last couple of years, even those of us with our heads in the ground, is if you're going to talk about bad cops and bad cops doing bad things, some aspects of racism are going to bubble up. And I think, so saying those words and having that stuff, as unpleasant as it is necessary. What's strange is they do bring it up, and they bring it up in a way that you're kind of expecting something to happen with it. Like they're bringing it up for a reason, and then the reason kind of bleeds out. But the other thing I do like about this is not just a kind of, oh, Francis McDormand is standing up to the town and she's going to tell him what's for, and she's going to, put her finger in the face of power and stand up. It's one of the people that she's kind of telling off, and all those things that you're talking about, like the dentist and the priest and the whatever, are all very true. And you would expect kind of a lesser, more clumsy, more didactic movie to just have it everybody in the town versus her. But Woody Harrelson's as the head of the police is actually a pretty nice guy, and he actually sits down with her and pretty succinctly explains, look, this is what we're up against. There were no witnesses, no one, we didn't know where the people were coming or going. We've talked to everybody we could talk to. We haven't heard anybody. It's kind of like we have done our job, and sometimes when you do your job as a police officer, you're not given enough to solve the case. And you're and so we all have to sit in our grief, and it's awful. And you can rage at me if you want. And I kind of liked him because he was almost kind of like absorbing her rage, and knew that it was almost like part of his job, that if I can't solve the case, mothers are going to be pissed at me, and that's just the way it's going to be, and I'm going to have to take the hit. And there are a couple things about his character that I don't think that we should share on here because it makes him more sympathetic and more understandable, and also colors in the understanding of some of the people that are trying to protect him. But yeah, Sam Rockwell's character, I love him in everything. He does play this kind of doofus, dorky,
I actually have a lot I want to say about Sam Rockwell, and I'm going to save it for the what we're dorking out about segment.
Okay.
But I just think he is really good in this movie. Right. He's playing a very unlikable person.
Right.
And I have, heard some criticisms about like his character's story arc.
Yeah.
That they don't think it's, I don't know, is earned, I guess, as it needs to be.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I don't think it's as earned as it needed to be, but it's not completely unearned. It makes sense too. But I don't want to, like it doesn't go far enough, I guess.
Right.
Like it just needed something else.
Right. And I think that's where we're kind of butting up against the ceiling of the quality and the execution of this movie. Is there's a lot of it, Francis McDormand's character is really fun to watch. The dynamics of her family are fun to watch.
Everyone in this movie is really great.
You know what it is?
It's such a good cast. Like they've got Francis McDormand, they've got Woody Harrelson, they've got Sam Rockwell. Then you get Peter Dinklage,
right? And
he's so great, and like, not a big role. Right. And then you get Clark Peters, who from The Wire and Treme, and I whenever he shows up, I'm like, oh yay, it's Clark Peters. Like, it was weird that you kind of get these like really great actors and you don't give them like just a little bit more to do.
Right. And I feel bad because I feel like Martin McDonagh is trying to give him as much, and there are moments where he's giving them enough and they can do something with it, but then there are other moments where it's just like it feels like Coen Brothers fan fiction, and that's kind of why I felt like that. And it doesn't, and I feel bad because Sam Rockwell's character, now that I'm talking it through, and actually we're going to go, in a second here, let's go into spoilers a little bit. But on a scale of 1 to 10, for the people who have not seen it yet and are trying to decide whether or not to see a Sonia Mansfield, what would you give 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri?
A 7.
I would give it a 6. 0.5.
I like it a little bit. Oh.
So it's essentially
I like it a little bit more than you.
Right. So, okay, now 3, 2, 1, we are going to spoil 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Sam Rockwell's character seems to have to, his place in this story bounces around based on what they need him to do. If they need him to be a bumbling jackass cop, he's a bumbling jackass cop. If they need him to be a racist monster, he's a racist monster. If they need him to be a good guy detective that's actually kind of selfless and clever, he's that character. He's
Yeah.
all over the. And there's a moment halfway through this movie where a character, and we're not going to spoil all of it, even though we're deep in spoilers now, where a character is writing letters to most of the cast of this movie and kind of calling them out on what kind of people they are. And the letter that is written to his character is kind of like, what? I haven't heard none of I haven't seen any indication of anything.
You're a good guy deep down. And you could be a really good cop. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you could be a really good cop. You could be a detective. You could do this. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, I didn't get any of that impression from him. And, and the whole idea that, like, he doesn't get, like, the story arc or the redemption, they're talking about, like, the redemption arc, basically. Right. The idea that, like, he somehow becomes like a good guy. I was like, I think you saw a different movie because he didn't seem like a good guy to me. Even at the end.
Well, that's the thing, is he seemed...
I mean, at the end, they're going off to, like, they might murder someone.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, that's not a good guy. I would say there is no real redemption arc, quote unquote, for Sam Rockwell's character in...
I disagree a little bit. I think he does. He's shown a different side where it seems like he's on the path, not to redemption, but it's kind of like he's not just a mustache twirling villain from beginning to end.
I guess that's true.
But he doesn't do quite enough. And this is one of those movies. It's funny. I was on Book versus Movie with Margot D, and we were talking about the kind of movies where they're not really, where the filmmakers don't really have a satisfying ending. So they just kind of stop the movie and let you fill in the blanks of what might happen. And usually if you do it well, it lets you think about the movie and see where the characters would go, and you kind of you tease out the themes of the movie and kind of come up with a ending on your own, or you come up with your own thoughts. Or if you're just clumsy and, I don't know, lazy or whatever, you just stop. It's kind of like, I don't know how to end it, so I'm just not going to have an ending. And then you say, oh, I'll let the audience figure it out. They can bring their own perspectives to this story, blah, blah, blah. This is that movie where it stops, right. And it's kind of like they're on this trip to maybe shoot a rapist.
Right.
But we're not going to tell you what happens. And Sam Rockwell's character is going to find out who nearly burned him alive and scarred him for life. But because we don't really have enough time to finish out how a real person might react to this, we're just going to have him shrug it off. So,
yeah.
And that's the movie.
That's when I started to think, I was like, this movie's going off the rails. Like, when it has her, like, firebombing a police station, I was like, oh, you're taking it just a little too far, in my opinion.
Yeah. Even though
that's the part that I was like, that's just too much.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where you could see it's one of those things where the filmmaker wanted to have it both ways. Is she wants her to firebomb the police station, but we don't want her to hurt anybody. So we're gonna watch her call the police station twice to confirm no one is in the police station answering the phone. And then once she's done that, then she's going to burn it. So it's kind of like, all right, do you have so much rage that you can't help yourself and you're going to firebomb a police station? Or do you have so little rage that you can carefully think it through and pull this off without getting in trouble? It's like,
and you're going to destroy all the case files and evidence that might be in there for anything else they're working on, including your daughter's murder. But that's cool. Go ahead. Set the fire.
I feel really awful. Because, and maybe I'm going to blame it on the movie. One of the case files that gets saved is her daughter's case file.
Yeah.
And until you just said that about all the other case files in there, that didn't even occur to me. I didn't even occur to me there were any other cases. There was any other evidence.
Maybe there aren't any other cases in that town.
Well, exactly, maybe, but it's kind
all
of
like so-and-so tipped over my cow. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And what it is now that you're saying that, it's this is a movie town with a movie police station, and there's only one file I saw in the movie police station, and it was her daughter's file, which we saw got pulled out of the police station. Therefore, nothing was lost when the police station burned to the ground. But of course, it was. So, yeah. So I guess actually now that we're talking through this, I'm gonna knock this down to a flat 6, maybe a 5.5.
Right. Wow, I'm ruining it for you.
You're not ruining it. There's stuff I really like.
Before
but
we go, I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
Why is Woody Harrelson's character married to like an Australian model?
You know what?
Did you notice that her accent kind of comes and goes?
I did not notice that. I like it when movies do that. They have some character that doesn't seem like they fit. It seemed to me at first she didn't have an accent, and then all of a sudden she had an accent, and I was like, what? Maybe. Yeah. I think it was partially because I think her first couple lines were like one word.
Maybe.
I can't even remember what they were.
You might be right.
So, but I love the fact that she's Australian for some reason. We don't know why. It's never explained. And it's just like, there you go. There she's. And then, well, yeah. And then, she's going to spend the day. You know what? Actually, I'm going to stop right there. If this movie gets any real awards consideration, I'm going to be kind of irritated. Because, it's fine.
I think it will for performances.
It might, but the performances, they're fine. They're fine. This is.
Honestly, I don't see the script winning anything.
No.
She could.
Maybe. I guess.
She could be nominated. People love Francis McDormand. There's the other thing in the movie that drove me, like, where I was like, what? Where they're, like, putting up the billboards again. Mm-hmm. And the black guy came to help her. Mm-hmm. And then, like, her other, like, black friend shows up.
Right.
And they are like, oh, hi. Like, maybe they like each other. It's like, of course, they like each other, right? They're the only two black people in the town. So.
Kind of, yeah.
It was like they have so much in common. He's black and she's black.
And period. Yeah.
Like, that's it. It was just a little too, like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But
there are pleasant moments in this movie, but you could definitely see the edges of what they were doing.
I'm saying all these bad things about a movie that, like, I actually kind of like, but
point is,
but it has problems.
Yeah, it has problems. Point is, go see three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, or don't. We don't really care.
That's not true. I care.
Not much. How much do you care, Sonia?
About a 7. Hey, want more Dorking Out?
Yep.
You can visit our website at dorkingoutshow.com.
You can.
And you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Do you listen to us on iTunes?
Yep.
It's cool.
It's cool.
We won't tell anyone.
Nope.
Please, take a few minutes out of your busy day of pretending to work while you watch cat videos to give us a review on iTunes.
Cat videos!
For some reason, iTunes really cares about reviews, and it helps us attract more listeners, and you want us to have more listeners and be popular and cool, don't you?
Yep.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
And now, on with the show.
Yeah. Well, it's been almost a week since we here on Dorking Out talked about anything having to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, if you're
a long week.
If you're a long-time listener to the show, that's right. You'll know that we are very overdue to say something about the subject that I keep coming back to for some reason over and over and over. Anyway,
it's because they're the only movies that are coming out.
That's pretty much. Actually, so in my defense, apart from the movie we just trashed, yes. Marvel
we didn't
movies
trash that
That's
movie.
True.
That's not true.
So,
please continue.
What we are talking about today is the trailer for Marvel's Avengers Infinity War, the third Avengers movie, and the climactic film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before, according to producer and head guru Kevin Feige, the entire MCU gets turned upside down, pulled inside out, and goes in a completely different direction after this movie. In such a different direction that they're not even revealing the name of the Avengers movie after this one because it's a spoiler for all the craziness that's going to happen here. But the reason we're talking about this
they're not
today,
just calling it like Infinity War 2.
no, they're calling it give us more money. But this time, the M...
Avengers.
That's right.
Rest in peace, Captain America. Something like that.
Something like that. Anyway, so...
I'm guessing.
The point is, we thought that we would bring on Peter Brown of Assignment X, associate editor of Assignment X, and co-host of the very periodic Dorking Out About Trailers, which is all my fault.
He's our podcast BFF.
That's right.
BFF.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
Peter,
BFF.
how's it going?
Hello. How are you guys?
We're good. How? Why don't you start us off? You watched the trailer for Avengers Infinity War. This
official trailer. Yes, the official trailer.
The official
That's
trailer.
true. There were unofficial trailers that I think came out at Comic-Con last summer.
That's right.
That people were flipping out about. But this is the one that, I think in 24 hours, has been seen more on YouTube than any other trailer in any other trailer's entire run. I think it's like 230 million times this thing has been seen.
Damn.
In less than a week. Point is...
Let's see. I have it actually up. I can tell you. It has 79 million views.
What? All right. Well, point is, somewhere, it's been seen a lot. So we thought, A, we would talk about the trailer. B, we would talk about the movie. C, we would take Peter Brown's temperature of... It's been a while since we've talked about anything having to do with comic book and comic book movies with Peter. So, Peter, why don't you start us off? What did you think of... What does this trailer mean, and what did you think of it?
Sure, yeah. So I had actually I'd forgotten just how much had led to this movie until I actually started looking back at all the other Marvel movies, and this sets up no less than 6 other movies had to be set up before this one. And that's a pretty amazing thing. Like, if you think about it, like, that's like, I don't think it's ever been done before in the history of cinema, that you had to actually have 6 movies prior to this one to actually get to this point. Like, to have a long running subplot that spans like more than 5 years. That's like crazy.
Right.
They do it a lot in comics where they put subplots in and they run over a period of time and then they come to a completion, and then but that's like a completely different medium. You can do that because it's a written word. But in movies, like, typically you got to deliver like now, and you have to otherwise I think the public forgets, or they just end up don't care. But here, obviously, from the amount of views that this trailer has and the fact that everyone is talking about it, it's so hyped. And everybody can't wait to see what happens. And that's a pretty powerful thing that they have going on, just Marvel as a whole. And that this movie is the power that this movie is going to have. So it's pretty interesting, I thought, from that standpoint.
Well, the thing is with all these movies too is, like, if maybe you didn't like Iron Man, but maybe you like Thor, and maybe you didn't like Thor, but you really like Doctor Strange. Like, one of these movies works for you, one of these franchises. So, like, everybody will probably want to see this movie because one of these characters has a franchise that somebody likes. Like, everybody likes one of these the best.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, because that's the thing is, we've been so deeply immersed in this comic book cinematic age that we're kind of forgetting the first Avengers was a legitimate phenomenon, and it had 5 movies lead up to it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has 3 trilogies leading up to it. Actually, no, 4 trilogies leading up to it, because you count the previous Avengers movies. Plus, it's got the Ant-Man series. It's got Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got Spider-Man. Right. It's got Doctor Strange. And by that point, it will have had Black Panther, and Black Panther looks to be another.
And Thor.
Right, and Thor. Yeah, that's one of the trilogies.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But yeah, it looks like this. I'm wondering if this is a good movie. Are we looking at the first $2 billion movie of all time?
Maybe.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
Now, No, it's interesting because like not all of those Marvel movies had to do with like what's going to happen in Infinity War. Like the first two actually all three Iron Mans didn't have anything to do with the Infinity Gauntlet at all. Like the Thor movies don't really have anything except for Ragnarok didn't have anything to do with it. The Winter Soldier and Civil War didn't. Ant-Man and Spider-Man didn't. But like so those movies were all just kind of in between, kind of bridges maybe to other things that were going on. But there's, like I said, at least 6 movies that directly deal with like what's going to be happening in this movie. And so that's a lot of movies that you have to get through just to get to this point.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think people would have patience for it normally, like, especially in this age, like people don't have a lot of patience to begin with, period. So to like have to sit through 6 movies to actually know what the heck's going on, like that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, that's a crazy big accomplishment. But the other things is the reason I was pulling in Iron Man and all those other movies is, Kevin Feige has less than subtly communicated. We could see the death of Iron Man. We could see the death of, there are essentially 2 Avengers movies here in the next 2 years that are coming out. Originally, they were billed as Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and Avengers Infinity War Part 2. But, Chris Evans has been talking about not being in the movies anymore. Chris Hemsworth has been talking about not being Thor anymore. People, Robert Downey Jr. has been going in and out of contract for the last couple years. And I think the MCU is at a place where we don't really have to have Tony Stark in all these movies. So we could really be seeing the killing off of a lot of these characters that kind of started this whole ball game. And these actors are 10 years in. So having all of those storylines come to this climactic event in this movie, I'm wondering. Part of it. I know that I yammer about this cinematic achievement a lot, but I'm wondering, now that I'm thinking about and talking this through with you guys, I'm not sure we've ever seen a cinematic event like Avengers Infinity War. And given that we're living in the world Star Wars made, that's a hell of a thing to say at this point.
Exactly.
No, we definitely haven't seen anything like this because this buildup is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
All of them. I mean, how many movies? 19? 17?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. By the time, let's see, let me
with Black Panther 17. Yeah, with Black Panther 17.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's bananas.
Sorry. Avengers Infinity War will be the 19th movie.
There you go.
Okay.
In the I have the little handy dandy Marvel Studios subreddit open where you can count all of the movies right alongside. But yeah, I mean, it's because now part of me is wondering, what would it be like if you could somehow take James Bond, Spider-Man, and the woman from 50 Shades of whatever and put them in a Star Wars movie? Like if you had all of those characters and all of those fandoms in one movie, well, that would be a total train wreck, I admit. But it just like
I might go see it though.
Exactly. It might, yeah. But now that I'm looking at this, I'm trying to think. It's just like, all of the characters we're going to be seeing together for an extended period of time. I mean, we got a little taste of this with Captain America: Civil War, but that was essentially one set piece where most of the characters that got in this big, huge fight that fanboys love the world over, they were there in the movie for that one scene, and then they're out. I mean, Spider-Man literally did drop in one scene, and he's out.
Right.
So now, well, let me ask you this. You guys have seen the preview.
Yep.
We've talked about the ridiculous levels of hype this thing could get to. What did you think? Like, what are you hoping for? What are you expecting? What did you think when you watched the trailer?
You want to go first, Peter?
Sure, I'll go first. I think that this is going to be maybe a different kind of movie that we see from kind of the other Avengers movies. I think it's going to end with maybe not so much of a resolution as maybe the first two. I think probably they something happens in terms of it'll be kind of a cliffhanger a little bit. That's kind of what I'm gauging from this trailer, that I think some people will die. There'll be some hardships, but nothing maybe might not get resolved at the end, and then I think that will carry over maybe to the next one. Is kind of maybe what I'm thinking. But I like the trailer. I really, really love that they didn't give away too much. So many trailers tend to like just put way too much in there, and then here it definitely left me wanting more, and much more, in fact. So I really love that they didn't overly do like everything that's happening, because you have a lot of questions as to what's going on. Why is Tony Stark, almost crying? Why is Spider-Man fighting Thanos alone at one point? Right. Things like that. So a lot of interesting things going on there, I think. So definitely a very cool trailer, and a lot to sink your teeth into going to the whatever comes after this, obviously, which is the next trailer. So.
What do you think, Sonia? How is this striking you?
I want to mention a couple things that I really liked, and then I'm going to mention something I didn't like. So I love the scene with Peter Parker on the bus when all the hair on his arms stand up.
His spidey sense was literally tingling.
Because exactly like we actually get to see his spidey senses tingling. I love that scene, and I do love it when Black Panther says and get this man a shield. Right. I love that part too. What did you guys think of Thanos?
All right.
He was in his casual attire.
He does not look very threatening to me. He looks like Barney or Grimace, had a bad day at the gym, and now he's mad. He did not look very threatening to me.
He looks
but you don't wear a vest shirt and slacks when you try to take over the world?
He looks like a giant purple there, I said it. He just looked
David, my husband, said he looks like Ron Perlman.
He looks like a purple Ron
Perlman. That's what he said.
A purple Ron Perlman.
And I was I think he looks like Grimace, but he's been working out.
Well, it's funny. I am here on the Marvel Studios subreddit, and they have a little picture comparison: Thanos 2012 to Thanos 2018, and they have the previous versions of him. That bald, just looking bald, that's not a good look. He looks, I don't know. He just doesn't. Well, that's the thing, is usually they're so spot on. Maybe that's the thing, because Josh Brolin has talked about this is his attempt to make a Darth Vader level evil performance. He's really going for it with this one. And maybe this is Marvel's first swing and a miss, which would be a spectacular story. I can't even believe I'm saying this, and I'm not predicting any kind of downfall or any kind of screw up or whatever. But
look, I could be wrong.
Maybe goofy.
Maybe that clip we're seeing is Thanos on Casual Friday.
Right.
And the other days of the week, he's got the armor on and he looks badass.
So I've been watching a few breakdowns, people talking about the breaking down the trailers and the different parts of it, and this definitely comes up a lot, and a lot of people do think he looks kind of goofy. One of the things that they were talking about in terms of his armor was he doesn't necessarily need the armor anymore because he's got the soul gems. So apparently the soul gems allow him to this crazy amounts of power, so that he doesn't need to have armor to protect him anymore. So that's kind of why he's maybe more looking a little bit more casual than in the previous incarnations where we've seen him fully decked out in armor. So I think that's kind of the reason he's not in armor, is that he's got the soul gems now, or at least two of them. So he's doesn't need it anymore. So
right. So Peter.
Well, the other thing. Sorry.
Keep going, Sonia. Keep going.
I just want to say the other thing about the trailer, and it's kind of something that, I maybe take issue with a lot of the Marvel movies in general. The shots of the female superheroes of Scarlet Witch and Black Widow. Like basically both their shots are just them looking longingly at their boyfriends. Like I kind of want my female superheroes to want to save the world like everyone else.
Am I forgetting who Black Widow's boyfriend is?
It's the Hulk.
Oh,
she's in love with the Hulk. Remember? That's a thing.
Right. That's right. No, you're right.
It's a very stupid thing. Remember?
Right. The shot I remember of Scarlett Johansson in the trailer is her shoving some big pole into something, probably some beast or something, and that's what I saw.
See, what I remember is her like looking longingly at the Hulk.
Okay.
Well,
that's
you need to get your feminism in order, Sonia, and look for the spike,
but then,
the pole getting spiked.
I guess so. But I'm really excited that it ends with the Guardians. As you know, Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorites, and then they get Gamora, and she's badass. So
right,
yep,
right.
There you go.
So, yeah, I don't. You know what? I cannot imagine. One of the things that we do on this show is sometimes buy into the hype, sometimes try to deconstruct the hype, but I cannot imagine the level of insane hype that if the Avengers ended in some sort of Empire Strikes Back unsatisfactory cliffhanger where people are going to go mad for a year. Because I guess, so Avengers will come out.
So Thanos is going to be Iron Man's father.
Or something. Or there's just some insane, or he just murders everyone.
I knew that was coming.
Right. So the Avengers Infinity War comes out. I'll just keep going. You keep going too.
Okay.
On May 4th, 2018.
That's not true.
Avengers 4
you said to keep going.
comes out. I know, I didn't say stop. Avengers 4 comes out. This is going to be very enjoyable for our listeners to listen to. Avengers 4 comes out 1 year later. Now, Sonia and I, Sonia especially, are very old. We remember the insane amounts of hype. Actually, Peter, you probably remember
now I actually thought what you were going to say was we're not going to live long enough to see.
Oh, that's right.
We're not going to live long enough to see the next Infinity War movie.
And actually, we're talking to all our young listeners right now. The amount of strife and anguish and worry and stress and craziness that took place between May 1980 and May 1983, when it was revealed that Darth Vader may or may not be Luke Skywalker's father. That was 3 painful, long years of arguing, wondering, stressing.
Jeez.
Can you imagine if the Avengers ends with Steve Rogers getting stabbed through the chest and then cut to black or something? Would be.
Get ready.
Well, yeah, something's going on. It is going to be.
Get ready.
It's
going to be like the reason they're not revealing the title is going to be like Avengers. Revenge for Steve Rogers or something like that.
So
no,
that's right. Peter, let me ask you this, and Sonia, I apologize right now if you know the answer to this question, but I think I'm safe in my assumption. Peter, what are the characteristics of all of the Infinity Gems?
My God,
Peter. What is the Avengers? Sorry, Sonia. You might know the answer to this one.
Did I put you on the spot, Peter? Did I?
Yeah, you did. I you know what? I should have looked this up. I know a few of them. One is space. One is time. One is
Earth. One is
soul.
wind. One is fire.
Like what does the soul gem do? What is that supposed to do?
It's like binds them all together, basically. I think. Like binds all the rest of
the
together.
one.
I think I'm not positive, but
the one stone to rule them all.
Yeah, and then when they're all together, they all are magnified, right? The power of them are all magnified. So, yeah, I think that. So I know there's time and space and soul, and then I'm not sure what the other 3 are. Hold on, yeah, furious typing now going on.
Yeah, exactly.
I really do believe it's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
So what I'm looking for, because actually Marvel's Infinity.
Because Doctor Strange has the time one, because in that one he kept in the finale of that one he kept replying time or repeating time over and over again, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange has the time one. The space one I think is the Tesseract. I think that's the one that was in Captain America: The First Avenger and in the original Avengers movie.
Right.
Now, does Vision have one?
Yeah.
Vision has one. Yes.
Is it
and then so there's one that has.
What's the one that Vision has? It's like a Mind Stone or something.
That might be right.
Yeah, there's the Mind Stone or something. Well, the reason I'm asking is what I'm doing is going into and this is what you get for doing your research while you're actually recording the podcast. Is I'm trying to see if there's an Infinity storyline that happens after Infinity Wars or whatever to give a hint about where they're going with these.
So you're trying to spoil it for yourself.
Well, I'm trying to at least get some sort of indication, because that's the thing is like with, when Marvel announces these names, like Captain America Civil War, it strongly hints at the kind of storyline that they're going. Usually they take a storyline from the books, change it up somewhat significantly, but they take big chunks and go with it. So I'm just trying to see, and I know that the Infinity War and Infinity Stones, Infinity whatever, has been a persistent theme in Marvel Comics for the last 30 years. I think the first Infinity event was in the early 80s, if I remember my nerdiness correctly. So yeah, I was just curious if there's any...
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So Power Gem, which increases strength and durability of whoever wields it.
Mm-hmm.
The Time Gem, you can slow down, or speed up time. We saw that in Doctor Strange. Space Gem, you can travel through space.
I love Space Jam.
That's the one that was a Tesseract, I'm pretty sure, because that's how he was able to open that portal in Avengers. Soul Gem, you can steal someone's soul or spirit. Reality Gem, it alters reality. And the Mind Gem.
That could be all of them. Couldn't you just have the Reality Gem and you're done?
You could, yeah.
Sorry.
And then the Mind Gem, which gives you telepathy and telekinesis and other psychic abilities.
Okay. All right. I think we've channeled our inner 16-year-olds long enough. Peter Brown, is there anything else that you would like to say about Avengers Infinity War, about the MCU or anything?
No, I do. I actually have a question for you guys.
Okay.
So we joked about it a lot, but who do you think is going to die?
I just have this feeling that... Well, here, let me step back. I don't know if anyone's truly going to die. I think what's going to happen is, Steve Rogers is going to get killed maybe. Thor is going to get killed maybe. Some other people are going to get killed. But then somewhere along the road, in Thanos getting all these gems and starting to mess around with them, we are going to get into some sort of... Because we know that Doctor Strange is going to continue. We know that some of these other characters are going to continue. I think that somehow the reality is going to get scrambled around a little bit. So it's not going to be like everything up until Infinity War is going to be wiped clean, but it's going to be shunted off to the side, and a new past and a new future is going to be set. So it'll be this kind of vague, maybe they could bring Captain America back, or maybe he's dead, or maybe it's going to be a very comic book-like reset, where it's not exactly clear who's dead, who's alive, what the consequences are. We're going to get to see some deaths, but they could easily be undone if people freak out and are screaming to bring Robert Downey Jr. back. That kind of thing. Sonia?
I think they're going to do a bunch of trailers like, someone's going to die. Someone's going to die. And it's going to turn into this huge thing. Who's going to die? Oh, my God. And everyone's going to freak out. And that's going to be Hawkeye. And everyone's going to be like, meh.
Peter, who do you think is going to
die? So I'm just basing it off of the trailer that we saw, and that Iron Man, Tony Stark is kind of sitting there, kind of disheveled, and he's very upset. Maybe Spider-Man, actually.
No,
I can see it happening,
no.
and then maybe they have some sort of like Chris was saying, some sort of snafus and craziness go on with the gems, and then he comes back. Or something.
You know what, Peter? Now that you say that, if I was Kevin Feige, that's probably what I would do. Because Spider-Man 2 has already been announced. It's coming out 2 months after the after the fourth Avengers movie. I would kill Spider-Man off in Avengers Infinity War and then have people freak out for a year and a half. Like, how are they going to keep making Spider-Man movies if he's dead? I would have the funeral. I would have Aunt May bawling her eyes out. I'd have the whole deal. Then something happens in Avengers. You know what I would do? Here's what I'm going to have. Actually, I'm going way out on a limb here. Here's what I would do. Disney is in the process now of probably buying 20th Century Fox. What I would do is I would kill off a lot of people in Avengers Infinity War, and if I wasn't killing off a lot of people, I'd kill off Spider-Man. Then, when the good guys, wrestle away the gauntlet from Thanos and kind of set everything back in Avengers 4, you would see, like, glimpses of the X-Men. You would see glimpses of the Fantastic Four, the Marvel version of the Fantastic Four. You'd see all these things, and then I would have them somehow kind of try to reset time, but it doesn't really work out. So maybe, Spider-Man is still alive, but Steve Rogers is still dead, or whatever. And then a month later they could go on, and it would be. And if you watched Spider-Man: Homecoming and then the Spider-Man sequel, it would be like he never really died, but the audience would know, wow, time was reset in the Avengers 4, and this was all kind of scrambled back together. Plus,
could we do one podcast for Peter where you don't bring up the Fantastic Four?
Oh, yeah. Everybody needs a drink. That's right.
Jesus. Fantastic Four this, Fantastic Four that.
No, Sonia, we can't. We can't have that
idea.
podcast.
I do. Smith, I really like that. I think I wouldn't
hate it.
Surprised if something happens like that at all, because like I said, there's one that's a reality gem that you can manipulate reality. So they could definitely go back in time and use a couple of those gems.
Spider-Man is just a kid. I don't like that.
Oh, it needs
to be someone else.
Actually, you know what it is? Sonia, you might have just pegged it. They're going to kill a couple people off in Infinity War, and in the fourth one, they're going to have a choice. We've gotten the Reality Stone back, but we can only bring back one person. Who are we going to bring back? We're bringing back Peter Parker. He's a kid. Steve Rogers lived a long life. Tony Stark lived a long life. We're bringing the kid back.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know about that, but I don't like that.
I don't know about that either. But man, can you imagine being in a movie theater and watching Spider-Man get killed off halfway through the movie?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be in the theater when that happens. That's terrible.
And because they messed with time and reality, it introduces the X-Men and the Fantastic Four into the universe, and then they have, like you said, a whole new changing of everything that they could do in the Phase 5 or whatever.
Spider-Man is just a kid. You guys are upsetting me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sonia.
It needs. I'm sorry. It needs to be adults.
That,
Screw them.
That is my crazy prediction. I am. They keep talking about how they're going to shake things up and shock people, and it's going to be nuts. That would be so much fun to watch.
No, that is not fun. That sounds terrible.
It would blow the roof off of movie theaters from coast to coast. It would be mwah.
Well, like they said, they're keeping the title of the fourth film a secret because it gives spoilers to, the future. So, they're doing it for a reason. Obviously, something big is going to happen in this movie that influences that. So
I got it. Avengers for the search for Spider-Man.
There you go.
Right here first. Or it's going to be Avengers for Resurrection or something like that, where whoever we killed off in Infinity War, we're going to have a hint at their return in Avengers 4. All right.
And Christopher Lloyd will become the bad guy.
Oh my God, that would be so great.
I thought it was going to be Avengers versus Predator.
Oh,
I like that too. That's awesome. That's good.
That's right. Well, actually, wait, Peter. I'm sorry, I might be too dense. Was that a Doc Brown reference, or was that a Spider or Search for Spock reference?
That was a Search for Spock. Yes, he's the bad Klingon in that one.
He is. A lot of people don't realize that. Christopher Lloyd was a bad guy in a Star Trek movie. All right. Is there anything else that we would like to say?
I think that's plenty.
Me too.
Wait. There is one thing I want to say.
Oh, God, what?
Peter, I would be remiss. I know that you have not seen Justice League. But what are your thoughts on the reaction to the underwhelming performance and the worry, stress, and freak out that a lot of DC fans seem to be going through when it comes to the state of the DC cinematic universe?
I think it's justified to be worried, definitely, because they have a track record of not being able to deliver movies that the mass likes. Whether or not I like it or like the movies is my own personal preference, but most people seem to not really like them. So that's a problem. So they need to either stop making movies or just continue to make them for a niche audience that's going to like them. One or the other.
Right. Do you have any predictions about if they're going to still keep going down the road that they've promised? Supposedly we're getting a Batman
with the Flash movie and Aquaman movie, all that stuff.
That's right. Well, we know we're getting the Aquaman movie because they shot it. So they have to kick that out the door.
Yeah.
But like Flashpoint Paradox, I don't know if we're ever going to see that movie.
I don't know either.
I hope we see a Flash
Woman
movie.
2 is going to come for sure. Wonder Woman 2 is going to come.
Yes, that's true.
Because that's their most successful one. So,
right. Yeah.
I mean, I would think they're going to still stab at it until they can get it right.
Yeah. So,
but it kind of goes beyond the point.
They're going to keep beating this dead horse.
They're going to keep beating the dead horse, exactly. But when we talk about the early days of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they, Incredible Hulk was a so-so movie, and Iron Man was good, obviously, but everything that came before it was crap, kind of. But here they've had now 5 movies, and they haven't hit really one out of the park. I guess they had with Wonder Woman, but the majority of the movies have been, in most people's eyes, subpar. So can't really say it's their growing period anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking is they've by this point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've had 2 Iron Man movies, a Hulk movie, a Thor movie, and a Captain America movie, all of which were varying degrees of success. The lowest rated of which I think is like 60. And I think there's only one DC Cinematic Universe that's gone above 60, and most of them have been in the 20s. So, other than...
Well, I still think that review of Justice League's a little harsh. I don't feel like that number is accurate.
No, I hear you. I agree with you with the review, but I was looking, and the box office for Justice League, this is the end of the 3rd week, is $197 million, which is fine, but this is 3 weeks out, and we are about to, Star Wars is about to come and suck up all the rest of the money for the year.
Yeah.
This is, this, I don't know if Justice League is going to make more than $300 million at the American box office, and the Avengers made $700 billion. I mean, it made, this is, it's getting to the point where it's kind of ridiculous to even look at one to the other, and I think other than Wonder Woman 2 and Aquaman, and only because Aquaman's already been shot, I don't know how many of these movies we're going to see anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much Warner Brothers is going to be willing to keep throwing money at something that doesn't have any good return.
Right. Exactly. So,
I mean, Marvel, they've got to figure it out that even an Ant-Man movie will make a hell of a lot of money. So, that they don't mind taking risks, and they've shown that risk can pay off with Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and all this stuff. But like with the DC cinematic universe, everything they've tried is, with the exception of Wonder Woman, has been not very successful, really.
Right. Exactly. So.
I mean, even if Batman v Superman made a lot of money, it still was extremely poorly received. And Suicide Squad made a lot of money, but it was even worse received. So, and then Justice League isn't making as much money as either of those two movies, and it was poorly received as well. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Batman: Dawn of Justice, $330 million. Yeah, I don't think this is getting anywhere near that. And Batman: Dawn of Justice was seen as a pretty big stubbed toe. So, all right, I was just curious. We will have you back on very soon.
So I would say that fans of the DC cinematic universe, which I consider myself one of them, definitely have reason to be concerned for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, well, Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show. Sonia,
thank you, Master P.
Yeah, thank you.
You were here as well. Now, on to what we are dorking out about.
And that brings us to what we're dorking out about this week, or really just what I'm dorking out about this week, because I'm the only one who did our homework.
That's right. I'm slacking off.
And, yeah, take the week off, Smith. So one of the things I wanted to mention was I really loved your appearance on Book versus Movie. You went on, talked to Margot about Firestarter.
Yes.
It was really fun.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was a blast to be on her show. It was a blast to talk to her on her turf and kind of pull this story apart. Stephen King's Firestarter. The movie was quite awful. I
haven't seen it since, I was a kid. But I super loved hearing you guys talk about it. I thought it was really fun.
Great. Well, yeah. Well, that's what's funny is I had never seen it, and it's like early '80s, not good. So it almost at this stage it almost plays like a bad YouTube blogger movie. Like it's kind of like the camera work is essentially professional. It's got professional actors, but it just falls so flat. It's kind of disorienting. But it was a hell of a lot of fun. I am going to try to wheedle my way back onto the show because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I put a link in our show notes, and everybody should listen.
That's right.
I also wanted to say, so I went to see 3 Billboards today at the Alamo Drafthouse, and they always show, kind of weird videos or whatever before the movie starts. And one of them was this really great music video that I had never seen before with Sam Rockwell dancing. It's a video and it's for a band called Flight Facilities, and the song is called Stranded, and it's just Sam Rockwell like dancing throughout like this diner. It kind of reminds me of the video everyone was in love with Christopher Walken.
I was just gonna ask that because I remember that. I love that. It was such a weird video.
Yeah. Like, there's no, he's not, flying around and stuff like that. But, he's dancing. And I was like, oh, my gosh, look at him. And I was like, God, I love Sam Rockwell. And, and I said that to my friend, gosh, I love Sam Rockwell. He should be a really big star. And then this other woman comes in, and she sits down, and she's like, he is sexy. And I was like, right? And it started this whole conversation about
Was David
Sam
with
Rockwell.
you? Please tell me David was with you to hear all you gushing about some other man. Okay.
No, he wasn't, but he listened to me talk about this earlier because I was like, Sam Rockwell should be a really big star. And he does movies and you're like, oh, there's Sam Rockwell. I love him. But he's not the big star I thought he was going to be, which is fine. Because he makes interesting, he gets to make interesting, good movies. Mm-hmm. But I remember he did Galaxy Quest. And then he did
yes.
Charlie's Angels, like back to back.
Right.
And I remember seeing Charlie's Angels, and I was like, he's so great in that and fun. And I was like, he's going to be a really big star. And then it was kind of like these other movies that are good movies, but once again, like, he's not a huge star. Like, you know, he did Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, and he did Matchstick Men. Those are really good movies. But like, just not, didn't like put him up there, I guess, the way I thought it would. Is
Right.
Sam Rockwell a really big star? And I'm just off base?
No, I think I'm of two minds. One, I don't know if there are big stars now the way there were back in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s. Like, I can't think of the modern Julia Roberts, somebody that went from nowhere to her level of fame and establishment. I just can't think of any actresses that do that anymore. But I do think that Sam Rockwell, I think he has the nice actor's freedom of everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Everybody wants him to be in their movie. So don't be surprised if a year from now he's like the second lead of some huge Oscar movie and he's got an Oscar
Right.
for Best Supporting Actor.
Right. Also, did you see the movie Moon?
No, I didn't. It's funny.
Okay. It's a really good movie. David and I still talk about this movie, and he's so great in it. He's so great. But I just felt like I remember seeing Primal Fear with Edward Norton, and I was like, that dude's going to be a huge star.
Right.
And he's a big star.
Right.
You know, or you see like Good Will Hunting and like Matt Damon, he's a big star. Like, these are big stars. And
Right.
I felt like that was going to happen for Sam Rockwell, and it didn't. And I don't know, is it like a Hollywood thing, or is it hey, Sam Rockwell doesn't give a F and he makes the movies he wants to make, which is great. You know, and he doesn't make, you know, but then, you know, he does something like the remake of Poltergeist, so whatever. What do I know?
Yeah. Which, wow, that's funny. I haven't seen Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. I haven't seen Moon. I haven't seen, what was the other movie you mentioned? It's like these other big, huge.
Matchstick
Men.
Men.
Matchstick Men. Haven't seen that.
Yeah. Those are good movies.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, and I need to see them. I have a feeling there are some stars like Edward Norton where they seem to kind of misfire. And never quite get to a huge level. I think we've all heard the stories about Edward Norton, so it's kind of understandable that maybe people that are working at that level of filmmaking don't want to put up with the headache. And actually, now that I think about it, in this current climate, what I mean is not that Edward Norton is some big sexual harasser or something. He's just hugely difficult to work with. He's a headache for directors. He's a headache for screenwriters, and they don't want to have to deal with him editing their movie over his shoulder.
Apparently, he's quite the perfectionist.
Exactly, but he's all but he also kind of gets into the editing room,
or what he thinks is perfection.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So
anyway, I was kind of dorking out about Sam Rockwell, basically.
Yeah. No, he's fantastic. No, he's great.
He's just one of those, like, I think sometime we could do an episode where we talk about like actors who aren't like super big actors, but when you see them on screen, you're like, yay, that guy that girl. Like,
that is a good idea. Yeah.
I think because they're just such fun actors and actresses to talk about, because they, you know, like an Allison Janney, you know.
Yes.
Like, I saw a preview for I, Tonya in front of this movie, and I was like, I love Allison Janney so much. Like, when I see her, I'm like, yay, Allison Janney.
Right. Well, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, we may as well. I do have something to dork out about, and I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk to you about it on the air. This is usually an off the air kind of conversation, but why not throw it? Why not throw it out there to the masses? I'm wondering if we should tilt dorking out in a slightly different direction, commensurate with the one that you're talking about there. Because there is so much culture out there now, and there's so much fun stuff that we all miss. I just listed 3 big Sam Rockwell movies that I have not seen. Maybe it's time to start doubling back and having those things, and not doing the movie of the week, not doing the show of the week.
I'm into it. Let's do it.
But yeah, so
Hear all that conversation went easier
all right.
than I thought.
Hey, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe we shouldn't try so hard. Yeah, no, I'm up. Yeah, I'm up for that. No, let's do it. Let's slack
You mean
off.
I don't have to leave the house. Yay!
That's right. So, good people of the internet, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. I like your idea of talking about actors who we like. Now, we're still going to be talking about big movies and still going to be talking about stories that we love.
Star Wars, what? No, we're not doing that now. Forget it.
But I will be honest, I don't know if I would have seen three billboards outside of Ebbing, etc. If it weren't for this podcast.
I was seeing it anyway. This one was on my list.
You know, I was thinking about it, but some of the reviews made me feel like...
But I wouldn't have saw Justice League.
That's right.
I wouldn't have saw that Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is... I have a feeling now, Sonia, tell me what you think, is right now we see 70% of the quote-unquote big movies that come out throughout the year. Like,
that might be accurate, sure.
Like if you just take every number one movie for every week of the year, we see about 70% of them. And the ones that we miss are kind of like, we're not seeing 50 Shades of whatever. We're not seeing this.
Yeah.
We know they're going to be big movies, and frankly, we just don't care. Fast and the Furious was an interesting experiment that did not work to spectacular fashion, so that's never happened again.
It didn't work for me.
Now
as someone who hasn't seen the other movies.
Right. Now I'm thinking, let's dial it down to 50%, but double back and talk about movies and stuff that we like and enjoy.
Yeah, there are so many great movies out there that people don't know about or people don't talk about, that I love the idea of spending less time talking about a movie that maybe we didn't enjoy and instead talking about one that we did enjoy and paying it forward.
Right. Exactly. So, all right.
So I'm down. At the same time, all these really great Oscar movies are going to come out and I'm going to want to see them all. So
that's right. Well, they better be better than
like I'm going to want to see that Post, and you know, I want to see the Daniel Day-Lewis movie, and I'll be seeing Star Wars, and you know, So
I agree. No, I agree. I'm just thinking, but like I'm thinking, like when it comes into January, it's like I'm not going to see.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think.
I'm into it. I think it's a really great idea.
Cool.
I would love that.
All right. You were the best, Sonia Mansfield. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we're out?
I will just say goodbye.
Bye! The Dorking Out Show is on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, where you can find Chris at Jet Jurgens and Sonia at The Sonia Show. You can read about Sonia's random adventures at thesoniashow.com and track the slow and creeping progress of Chris's novel and his other hijinks at jetjurgens.com. You can find out more about the Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com. While you're over there, you can support us by giving us a review on iTunes. We have a handy-dandy iTunes link to whisk you right back to 2007, where you can leave your review and 5-star rating in iTunes. We'd do it for your podcast. Want to dork out even more? Well, you can sign up for our newsletter, where you'll get all the headlines we use as fuel for the show. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening.